What's up, Janky fam? You were sitting in the passenger seat of my newest project car, a 2009 Pontiac G8 GT. That's right, in a YouTube landscape where you need supercar money to make it big, I decided to build a modest Australian family sedan. And this is the kickoff to a build series where I look to turn this thing into a track day friendly street car. Here's a question you might have asked yourself as a car enthusiast. How many project cars is too many? 1, 2, 3, 17? I've always thought my personal answer to that question was 1, as in one project, one daily. The project in this case being my 2007 Nissan 350Z drift car. Now, I was originally driving this car back and forth to and from events, as well as driving it occasionally for fun on the street. But the more track focused this car becomes, the less safe and the less reliable it becomes for the street. So eventually I decided I needed a dedicated tow rig, which brings me to this thing, my 2018 Toyota Tundra SR5. But every day that I drive a truck is another day that makes me realize how much I am not a truck guy. The problem with that is that I still needed to tow the drift car, so it got me thinking, do I need yet another car? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go inside and try to sell this idea to my wife. I am not gonna shove a camera in her face because that would absolutely decrease the chances of her saying yes. So I'll be right back. That said, here's how I picture it going. Babe, I'm gonna buy a Corvette and it's gonna be awesome. Go ahead, babe, you deserve it. Also, you have a giant Well, I guess that's the end of the video, guys. No, I'm kidding. She agreed to a third project car with the exception that it has to be family friendly. My immediate thought is something like a Chevy SS. I mean, because what is more family friendly than a loud, bumpy V8 muscle car? Here's what I know. I want an LS car, I want a manual car, and the wife mandate is that it has to be 4 doors. And I've narrowed it down to basically 2 options. The first of which is LS swapping something like a BMW 3 Series. The other option is the Pontiac G8, which already comes with the LS Series engine, and is basically an older generation of the Chevy SS. There's the GT, which came with a version of the LS2. They only came in automatic, but supposedly the swap on these is pretty straightforward. And more importantly, they are in my price range.
Several months later.
So it has been about 3 months since I first started looking for a G8, and the problem I'm running into is that basically every one of these that I find in the Northeast is a rust bucket. That in mind, I expanded my search further down south, and I found this one right here, which is a 2009 with about 65,000 miles on it. It's got headers, a stage 3 cam. I mean, it also has what looks like drag wheels and a 2-step, so I'm assuming that this thing has seen some shit. I actually hit this dude up a couple of weeks ago and did the traditional Facebook lowball. We're gonna go back in and see what it'll take. Well, it turns out he said yes. I also asked him for the VIN number to run a Carfax, and there weren't really any red flags. I also asked him for a bunch of pictures of the undercarriage, which he sent, and everything looks really clean. So pending some logistics, it seems like this might be the one. All right, as crazy as this may sound, we have a plan in place. So step 1 is to clean out this garage. Step 2 is going to the bank, getting some money. Hopefully that should be easy enough. Step 3, going to a rental car company tomorrow afternoon to pick up a rental that I'm gonna drop off in West Virginia. Which brings us to step number 4, which is driving the Pontiac back home basically all day Saturday. So we've got our ducks in a row. Cue the sped up footage of me cleaning up this garage. So I just withdrew this money from my account. Evidently it was enough that they needed to call the manager over. He's like, is anyone influencing your decision in taking this money out of your bank account? And I was like, no, I'm using it to buy a car, and this is of my own very poor decision making. But they let me leave with the cash. So here I am on hour, let's say 6.5 to buy this car. Sight unseen, basically. And that is not the first time I've done that. So I left the house originally around 7 o'clock. I went up into a hotel around 2 in the morning, obviously exhausted. So I got what sleep I could. I woke back up around like 6 or 7 to head out and meet up at the seller. I had about like 2 hours more to drive. For the sake of this deal not being any more shady than it already felt, I did not want to put a GoPro in this dude's face. So instead, here is a dramatic recreation of the deal going down. Well, pulled the trigger. I don't want to say proud to say that I own a Pontiac. Real mixed feelings about that. But this car drives great, pulls hard, but we'll see how I feel in like 8 hours once this trip is over. My God, do I hate automatic transmissions though. From there, I proceeded to drive 500 miles back home in a car that I'd never seen in person before, obviously taking a huge chance on whether or not it was going to break down along the way. But one thing became immediately clear was that the tune was hot garbage, both for the cam and the transmission. This manual swap honestly could not come soon enough. Yeah, so from there, the rest of the drive home was pretty uneventful. I basically did like a 16-hour driving marathon over a 24-hour time period. So on the tail end of this trip, I was just not feeling trying to get the camera out and get footage and all that, but I did the best where I could. Quick little pull before we go home. And pulling up into the driveway. All right, here it is in all its glory. 2009 Pontiac G8 GT. We got it registered, we got it insured, and it is street legal. Not really, because I don't think it has any emissions on it whatsoever, but the hood is obviously a little rough, and it was a carbon fiber hood, and it seems like they never did any sort of sealant on it, so it's just toast. I'm debating on whether or not I want to try to get this fixed, like re-clear coated or something along those lines, or if I'm just going to sand it and throw a wrap over it. So one of the unfortunate things that we've noticed immediately since getting it home, and I was originally planning to keep these wheels on the car, but they are super thin. And then I looked at the inside markings, and these are a 7-inch wheel with a 255 tire on it. That just makes it look like it's perpetually flat. So I think we're going to need to order some wheels more immediately than I had planned, which my wife will be super happy about, I'm sure. But I don't really feel safe driving the car with the current wheel setup, which kind of sucks. We'll talk a little bit more about the plans for the car later. For now, I'm going to get it in the garage. As you can see, we are officially in the garage. I'm about to jump into the engine bay. With this mostly being an introduction to the series, I don't plan on doing a ton of work to the car on this one. I mainly just want to see what I see under the hood here, because I don't think I've owned a car that hasn't had a bunch of janky BS done by previous owners. So, fingers crossed, wish me luck. We'll see what happens. After that, I'm going to jump into the interior of the car to fix up some things with the head unit install. Mainly the steering wheel controls aren't currently working, and they should be. And for whatever inexplicable reason, they decided to install the Bluetooth mic on the top side of the passenger A-pillar, which I have no idea what they were thinking with that. One of the things about buying a used sports car that's had, I want to say 6 previous owners, according to the Carfax, if I remember correctly, is that there's all sorts of random crap that previous owners have done that I am very anal about and feel the need to clean up. First off, I'm going to uninstall this 2-step. I have zero interest in having a 2-step on this car. But in just kind of looking around here, I removed this stupid sticker, and then I noticed these kind of random wires that were hanging out over here, which somebody was nice enough to tar over, it seems like. But this looks like a speaker wire. But given that the battery is in the back of this car, I have no idea what a speaker wire is doing up in the front. Who the hell knows what this was? Mr. 2-Step, it's been a pleasure in the short time that I've known you. Oh, is that one stripped? God damn it. And that's working on cars in a nutshell, man. All right, we'll just keep that right there. And basically what the 2-step does, I guess, I've never messed with a 2-step before, but this is the coil pack harness, and there's a jumper harness that kind of, I guess, intercepts the coil pack signal, which I guess is what prevents the vehicle from revving past whatever certain point you set. Fingers crossed, we just remove that little harness and the car will run normally. All right, as far as I can tell, 2-step uninstalled. This thing, I don't know what the hell logo this is. I assume some aftermarket company or car club. I already peeled it off with a screwdriver, so goodbye. All right, engine bay is looking good enough at this point. Obviously, 2-step is gone. I got rid of that stupid plate, the sticker, and then I pushed those random speaker wires back through the firewall for the time being. Once I do the whole clutch pedal install in this thing, I'm gonna dig around and see where those lead to. So that's probably gonna be an unsolved mystery for this episode. But from here, I'm gonna move into the interior of the car to do the head unit things I mentioned. And I also have a little quality of life mod that I'm pretty sure some of you are gonna judge the hell out of me for. Well, does anyone else completely tear apart the car they just bought? Or is that just me? I've owned this thing for a week now. The only time I've driven it was back from where I bought it in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. The seats are out. I fixed the head unit, got the steering wheel controls to work. The mic was up on the pillar up there, and I moved that over the steering wheel here. I am running wires from the head unit to the back of the car for an amp and a sub. So I've had this amp and sub forever. It was in my STI. I debated selling it a handful of times, but in the end decided that I wanted to save it for a future project car, and this is said project car. Battery terminal for the ground snapped as I was trying to loosen it, so that's a thing. I replaced both terminals with some freshies. I removed the rear deck speakers. I've heard that's the move, basically to let some of the sound from the sub permeate into the car. The poor Z, because I have not gotten a chance to clean up my garage yet, is basically a glorified part shelf. But we will fix that. Interior stuff checked off, including the sub install, which again, I'm sure some of you folks are gonna judge me for. I even got the Z cleaned off, which I promised myself I would do. Funny story, I got everything back together, and then I took everything apart again because I'm starting to film some of the video for the manual swap. And isn't that just the story of being a car enthusiast, right? Your projects are always in pieces, there's always stuff to do, never enough time or money. But I guess this does kind of bring me back to our question of the day, which is how many project cars is too many? And I'm gonna say for me, it's 3. I think I'm gonna stop here. The romantic answer to that question being you could never have enough. I mean, I could think of like 15 cars that I would go and buy right now if money were no object. The realistic answer being as many as you can afford while maintaining the ability to keep them all running while not winding up homeless, divorced, or both. So let's look at the car together. So obviously the hood is an eyesore. I don't know how well you can see with the lighting, but I mean, it's got some scuffs and scrapes. I don't know what the hell we were trying to do there. I think replacing the emblem and maybe ripped off some paint in the process. Now you might have noticed this extra little pedal hanging out down here, and more to come. This car in pieces and worse than I received it, but for a good cause. So here's where the car currently stands. Obviously a little roughed up from a visual perspective, but it's mostly just surface. The body is straight, which I'm really happy about. As mentioned, my goal for this car is a street car that I can do track days with. I mean, from that perspective, it's pretty well set up, at least from the modifications that it already has. From what I've been told and from what I've mostly been able to verify, it has long tube headers, a stage 3 BTR cam with all the upgraded valve train stuff to support that. It's also got a ram air intake and a header back exhaust. Now from the factory, these things put out about 360 brake horsepower and run a really sad, like 14-second quarter mile. And I guess that's to be expected. I mean, it's a 4,000-pound car, but I got wondering, I mean, like what kind of performance was this thing actually putting down based upon the current modifications? Now, I of course forgot them at home and it's about 20 minutes away, so we're just gonna roll with it. But the previous owner was nice enough, I guess, to leave a dyno chart and a time slip in the glove compartment. The dyno chart puts this car at, I believe, 410 wheel horsepower, and then the time slip, I believe, was in the range of like a 12.4 at 112. So there's your more official confirmation that this car definitely has seen some shit, but I gotta tell you, I'm pretty happy with those numbers. All right, now let's go for a ride and I will tell you more about my plans for this car. You gotta make those old man noises when you get in. All right, here's my favorite part. You ready? You know, closed course, streets of Mexico and all that, don't try this at home. Oh, fuck. Now let's talk more in detail about my plans for this car. So I don't have any immediate plans for power adders. I frankly couldn't afford them if I wanted to. I mean, I think if one day I get bored, I'll probably swap that 6.2 in my garage or maybe look at a blower. Otherwise, the modifications for this car are mostly gonna focus on handling and general driving experience, which includes, first I'm gonna swap the wheels out to something more street friendly to get some decent rubber on the road. Manual swap also at the top of my list. While swapping the trans, a upgraded twin disc clutch, a short shifter, rated clutch lines, and maybe an upgraded drive shaft. Dyno tune along with all that. From there, we'll shift our focus to handling with coilovers, sway bars, and upgraded brakes. Overall, that should make for a pretty fun daily, and I am more than sure that we'll find some other stuff to do along the way. This trans tune is fucking awful. It just struggles to find gears. I'm hoping it's the tune and not the transmission, because I'm really hoping to sell the transmission for a couple of bucks. Like I had it matted in second, I tapped the gear, nothing. Just bounced off the goddamn rev limiter. Again, I will not drive this car again until the manual swap is done, I swear to God. You know, I find myself kind of self-conscious about the idea of owning a third car, and I think it's mostly because I know that the non-car people I encounter are going to be judgmental of the fact that I've wasted this much money on like yet another car, right? And especially one that theoretically isn't roadworthy at the moment. But something non-car folks don't understand is that there's like a passion or a romance to building and driving cars. You know, it's hard to put into words, and you know, some days, like anything else, I get frustrated and I need to walk away from this. But this hobby in general connects to my soul in a way that I can't really explain. And I think that's why I started a YouTube channel, and I'm so hopeful that this channel takes off more than it already has, because I would love for the ability to focus on this kind of thing like full time, or at least more often than I do currently. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope you stick around for the full build series. I'm gonna try to keep it as entertaining and as educational as possible, especially as I start digging into the transmission swap and some of the other BS that I have planned for this car. Now back to the question of the day, how many project cars do you think is too many? And if you could build your dream garage, money is no object, 5 cars, what would that be? Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I will see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Please consider commenting, liking, and subscribing, as that helps the channel probably more than you realize. If you want to help the channel more directly, maybe consider buying one of these super cool vinyls from the Janky shop. Otherwise, I guess, just watch some more videos.